Hey everybody, Alex here, and today I'm going to talk to you about The Predator, directed by Shane Black. Now, it's also starring Boyd Holbrook, who you might remember as being the bad guy in Logan, Trevante Rhodes, who was in Moonlight. He was the third Chiron, the older Chiron. And we also have Jacob Tremblay, and he played the kid in Room and Wonder. So I hope that gives some idea. We also have Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele, and Olivia Munn from X-Men Apocalypse. She was Psylocke. She was the lady with the laser sword. So we have a pretty diverse cast, and that's pretty cool. And I'm going to start off saying I was surprised with this movie. I did not expect it to go the way it went, which is usually a good thing. I really think this review can really only go by delving a little bit into the plot. I don't want to ruin anything, but I think I should give enough. But this movie's kind of hard because a lot of the focus really isn't on the plot, which is kind of strange to think about. I think that bothered a lot of people, that the focus isn't on character development and delving into building some new guys to latch on to. But this kind of goes with a herd mentality of, given like a pack of guys. You have a crew who's leading the way with this one, and it's an interesting choice. I really think some choices this film took elevated it, and I think there's some choices this film took that took things away, and depending on who you are and how you feel about those kinds of things, I think that'll really affect your opinion of the film. So just a little bit of plot. This film centers on a predator who comes to Earth, who's being chased by another predator, and he's bringing something. Now, this first predator has a lot of interactions with humans, and he is bringing a device. Now, I really don't want to say much more than that because, in all honesty, anything more kind of spoils this film. I will say there's a crew of guys who get together, a lot like the original, and they have to combat the predator. Now, I'm going to start off the bat and say this is certainly not an Oscar film. I don't think it's going to get nominated for any, and I know the nominations are coming out here, so it'll really be interesting to see what does get nominated. But The Predator, I don't think, was trying to be it. I mean, obviously, those kind of summer blockbusters, they're going for a different audience. And that's all good. And this film, it's good in its own merits. And I think it's a fun ride. And it has some good jokes and good action. I really like how this film doesn't ever take itself too seriously. There's a lot of psychobabble and stuff, but anytime that kind of stuff happens, it's kind of jokey, or they'll joke about it, or somebody will say something funny about it, which is a little bit of subversion. You're subverting expectations, but I don't think that was kind of what Predator fans wanted. I think Predator fans wanted that more serious film with a little bit of one-liners and a little bit of comedy, but a little bit more straight horror, but more action. This movie definitely has action. It delivers on that. And it definitely delivers on a comedy aspect, which I think a lot of people were looking forward to. And there's an element with a kid that some people were bothered by. I didn't really have a problem with it, but I went in with low expectations. I went in with everybody telling me either that they thought it was amazing or they thought it was terrible. And when you hear a lot of people giving a movie a 2 or a 3 out of 10, and you hear a lot of people giving it an 8 and a 9 out of 10, you really don't know how you're going to feel about something. And I can definitely hear both camps. I think I lean a little bit more with the group that likes this, and it's only because a lot of the problems with this movie is a lot of nitpicky things or kind of personal preference. It was a lot of people who said, this isn't what a Predator movie should be. This isn't how a Predator movie should go. And as being a major Star Wars fan, I've been in those shoes when, Last Jedi didn't exactly go the way I wanted it, but I think this is a different case entirely. This movie does not set up things and not deliver on them, or it hasn't had things set up and not delivered. That's what really bugged me with Last Jedi, and I do think Last Jedi is better than some people think it is. I think it's an average movie, and I think this movie is slightly better than that. I definitely think it's got that Con Air charm where you sit there knowing that, okay, there's no camera angles that are wowing me. The direction isn't exactly fantastic, and it relies a lot on the nostalgia. But a lot of those moments with the original Predator music and a lot of the kind of energy that it brings from just being a Predator movie, I think that there is enough to help this film, but I think it knows exactly what it is. And with some good jokes, action, Shane Black delivered a bold addition to the franchise. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because there's passion here. I think Shane Black really cares, and I think Shane Black really likes this franchise. He's been around since the beginning, and it's something that he wanted to come back to 30 years later. And maybe it wasn't how you envisioned things, and maybe it's not exactly what you wanted, but this isn't even really a sequel to the original. It references the first two, but it's more of a sequel in spirit. And I just got to say, the Predator diehards are the reason why this film has kind of a very average score on IMDb. It's got a 5.4, which a lot of times, if you see a 5.4, I know I would usually look past it. But when you look through the reviews, there's a whole lot of ones from people going, worst Predator movie ever, this isn't what I wanted, this isn't what we wanted, I want an action horror, I want the Predator to be terrifying, and I don't want people to just defeat it. And I can see those things, and I can see where people have expectations, and we create a kind of idea of where we want things to go, and when something doesn't deliver on that or doesn't do that, it can create a lot of disappointment. And I think we just saw it with The Last Jedi. A lot of people were really hoping that the things in Force Awakens would get delivered on, but it's the way things go. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to say check this one out and figure how you feel about it yourself. I think we all have a little bit different idea of what we want and a little bit different feelings about movies, and we're all looking for some different things, and I think it might deliver a really good viewing experience for a lot of you, and I know I enjoyed it, and I watched it with my family, and we all really had a good time with it. It was fun, and I'd say if that's what you're looking for, check it out.